What up, world, and welcome to another episode of The Bright Side Show. I'm your host, Steph, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Crystal. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Feeling good. Feeling
right.
good. Yes. You know what I mean? Yeah, great. This is cool. But today I'm actually excited. We have our biggest show yet. The most guests we've had so far.
That is true.
Yes. We have
special guests.
Yes, our special guest this evening. This episode are our siblings. We have, starting at the end of the couch, we have my younger brother Christian. How are you today, sir?
I am good. A little warm, but we're good.
Yeah,
It's a little
just
hot.
little steamy.
Steamy.
Then we have the youngest brother, Emmanuel.
What's going on?
Wallow with the hoodie. Got you.
It's gonna be a little cooler in here.
Stefan's also wearing a hoodie, as is
But
Crystal.
I got shorts on and kind
This is
of
where-
a beater.
Crystal was Matuba Wallow.
Ernie Emmanuel was
I was determined to wear this hoodie today. Okay, I got this hoodie like 2 months ago, and I said I'm going to wear this in the next episode. So it didn't matter what weather it was. I had it.
Keep a word. I like it.
And then right there center we have our little brother Blake's Crystal's younger brother-in-law.
How y'all doing?
You must be looking. Put on the sexy voice.
Oh, please. Not on my watch.
Rob. Stripper.
I'm here too.
Shout out
Oh,
to the
sorry.
shooter.
Shout out to Ricky, our producer, resident film person. We are always appreciative of him. He'll be the star singer for today's episode. So today, as we said, we have our family here with us. We're gonna get a little deep, I guess, so to speak. But first, we're going to start with our segment that we like to call,
What in the world?
and that is where we talk about a current event that makes you say to yourself, "What in the world?" So I wanted to start because I'm sure that y'all seen the joint of I think it was last week when like all of Michael Porter Jr.'s brothers decided to like crumble their lives over the last like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, one of Michael Porter Jr. is a player for the Denver Nuggets. So one of his brothers decided that he wanted to get kicked out of the NBA for gambling on himself and betting for himself to lose. Both things which are illegal.
I
But
don't think he bet himself to lose.
No,
he bet on
no.
himself
He had one bet
He
that was
did.
to lose.
to lose a game.
Yeah, so most of them were just like a minute
On
thing.
the
Like,
unders.
bet the under.
Yeah, bet the
And then
unders.
I think out of imagining the nail in the coffin was you bet on yourself to lose.
Yeah, because even Pete Rose bet on himself to win.
Yeah, I'm about to say, yeah.
He's like,
You
I'm
bet
betting on
money.
myself. Yeah.
He probably was like, I play for the Raptors. We rolling.
Dang.
Don't trust us.
So you gonna throw the game?
Well, he doesn't get the
Yeah,
time
yeah,
to.
he would
Yeah.
pick himself out or be sick. So like it's crazy. First of all, to get banned for life in the NBA is kind of wild because I mean you still got different cats. Like I mean shout out to the Hornets, shout out to Miles Bridges. I mean, but you still got cats like him still hooping. You got
Yeah.
people who have done like crazy things,
Real crimes.
real crimes, like
Yeah.
real crimes, hooping. So for you to you was drawing. Like I want to know the ins and outs for real.
To be banned for life.
Yeah.
I think it's something they haven't released.
Nah.
It's more to the story.
No, you just can't mess with the money.
Yeah.
That's all it is. That's what it is. The money. It
Integrity
is
of
the
game.
money.
Integrity of game.
Because the second that they think that once
Scripted.
again they could think of like everyone remembers the big gambling thing with the refs. If, like was that 10, 15
Tim,
years ago, Tim
Tim
Diamond?
Diamond, yeah.
So that right there just messed up the money too much. Because then it's like, oh, so none of this really matters.
Yeah.
And if none of it matters, then why should I care?
Mm.
And you can't have that, especially with the live betting that's happening now.
Yeah.
It's like it's impossible for them to survive if it were to if they let him stay in.
Yeah.
You got to just cut the head of the snake off immediately.
So this is why I want to. This is why I feel like because you're right, you can't mess with the money, right? And if you look at his payouts, it was only like first of all, he was a positive in gambling. So shout out to him because if you see a lot of other people who gambling, they down millions, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
But he was only positive like so he didn't mess up like no real break because ain't nobody putting the house on Toronto. So I'm thinking he had to been like running a ring or something. I'm thinking people have been cashing out off of him and
Yeah.
breaking
Well,
bread.
yeah, no,
That's
they
what it
did
is.
say
That's
That's
like,
what it
really-
is. That's
he
what
was
it
telling
is.
her-
And that's what they found out and said. But like that means like he probably what we saying he's telling people he probably had books. He probably had like a whole Vegas operation
Ledgers.
that he
Yeah,
can
yeah.
flip.
Ledgers.
Yeah, and that, so I don't know. I just feel like it's not. He's guilty. Clearly, he's not.
Yeah,
but I want to know
sure.
how guilty.
Right. And as dumb as, and I guess that's why I said go back to Michael Porter Jr. It's like, that's how dumb his brother was. Because again, it's like you have all these eyes on you because of who you're related to. So you already on a thin line of because of how, like you said, your family relation.
So it's not because he's famous; it's because he's related.
His
to
brother is
Mhm.
literally on the reigning NBA champions.
Okay.
So making on a $200 million contract. And then I guess the unfortunate part for like Porter Jr. is like you got one brother that's doing dumb stuff that's I guess not hurting people. And then his other brother, like a day or two later,
Mhm.
gets sentenced to 6 years in jail for manslaughter because he killed somebody while drunk driving.
Yeah.
So
The
And
top-
it was 2 charges, 8 years.
Yeah.
he's in the playoffs right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you on the Lakers?
And he's playing like he's in the playoff. He knows his two brothers. He got one spread.
Yeah,
He's got it. He's got to put the family on.
Right.
Yeah, and I guess the unfortunate part with that is like, because I feel like those things happen like 2 days apart, and they both happen like a day before Game 1 of the playoffs.
Mhm.
So instead of being like, oh, like how do you feel like it's going against the Lakers? Did y'all play them last year West Conference Finals? It's like, so you brothers, like your brothers.
Yeah.
What's happening with that? And he had to, of course, the like he was super political and said, well, I've got 15 other brothers here on the roster. It's like, you can't spend us like your brothers. What's going on?
Honestly, though, because I was thinking about this. First of all, I do kind of feel bad for Michael because
Actually,
I know that we're seeing them in the limelight. I know when he was growing up with these guys, always probably frustrated because they clearly don't think too well. Like,
Well-
and so I'm not gonna say it like that. I'm assuming, but I feel bad for him that having to be back into the playoffs, trying to get his mind right, focus, and then you getting back to back news drops on your family, and even Corbin. That whole situation happened last year. He just finally got his charges.
yeah.
So if I'm Michael, I'm like, well, dang, I just dropped the news on like
Yeah.
can we get a week as a family to regain ourselves before we get more bombshells? And I gotta go hoop.
Yeah.
And then guard LeBron, like that's a tough assignment, yo. For anybody, that's a tough assignment.
I guess that ties in perfectly because again, we're all related, and we are the people that, we're all the siblings that grew up in houses together.
Yeah. That's a good way of
I
putting
feel like
it.
we part of like families that just we got siblings elsewhere and all over. But I'd say the thing that made us choose, especially y'all two, is like because y'all the people that lived in the house and that we had. I guess probably more accountability to each other growing up, like y'all grew up together in the same house.
Same thing. Mhm.
Yeah. So I guess going back to that, let's go back to the beginning. It's like what was y'all relation, or what was y'all experience of growing up in the house with, say, Crystal, aka the wants to be a mother at the age of 12, or me being whoever I am.
I mean, it was amazing. Like everybody who knows me close and personally knows how highly regard I think of Crystal because she was a real backbone for me growing up. We lived with a lot of different people before we got settled with our grandparents, our heritage grandparents, and that extended family. But I always had Crystal as a rock to one point. I don't even know if you remember, there was one situation when we was leaving the house in Sheaf Lane, and Mom asked me if I wanted to stay with Kwame and them, or if I wanted to come with her and you. And to this day, it's because you was going with Mom while I went with y'all. So I mean, it was annoying, it was frustrating, but it was cool. She's 5 to 6 years older than me, so I got to see life and fast forward. And she always made sure, like, if I fell too hard, I wouldn't drop and really hit the ground. So, tight.
We did not have that experience. We were much more rough and tumble. Like, I guess we always had to support each other growing up. Because my mom had to work a lot because she had 3 grown boys, and I ate everything. I was always so hungry, so she was always, having to work. But I think we got along, but there were some times when we did not get along at all. So I think I was calling Stefan my rock. I'm so serious at any time.
I can't relate. I'm sorry.
Like he'd be around. Like we were close. We were like super close, but it was like I guess it's just more like boy on boy, like just that kind of.
Because we also like fighting too.
Brothers.
Yeah. Like so, it was a little different, but I mean, in a way, it was similar because we had only each other. Like especially Stefan and myself, because when we got older, we moved to Swarthmore, and it was like my mom was out the house, and Meryl was usually with our grandma, so it was just like us two. So it was like we had to do all the stuff that was, the grown up stuff that we're supposed to be done and take care of, and make sure that we were doing the right thing, which we most of the time were, but like
most of the time,
were.
Yeah, that's kind of a good point though, because I feel like you guys were both older enough, so it was like I would be with my mom and y'all would be band practice, basketball, football, like whenever y'all were out of the house. I was always in Chester with my mom playing Scrabble and listening to Earth, Wind and Fire.
They only had more Scrabble hours by the age of 10 than any child should have.
Probably all of them.
Most seniors center.
But that's because he's like the youngest, and it's like such a huge gap. Was it 9 years between you or you? Okay, 9 years.
We had 6.
Nine and 6.
So they were kind of like grown and like kind of out the house, and you got to spend so much time with my mom. Yeah,
and then like when I was really younger, like mom was always working 2 jobs, so it'd be like I'd be with Steph and his friends, like we'd be at Greg's house.
Yeah.
It was like you just kind of I'd take me with him now, because you don't leave me in the house alone. I was saying I'll be part of that experience.
Having to tag along with your little brother.
Oh, I love to tag along. She had to take me to different like parties of her friend groups, and nobody actually know me, but I'm having a ball. Like
we love it.
It's not an issue. I feel like those times I feel like I could be the rock. I gotta redeem myself now, because I feel like I could have been a rock. Because I would take a lot of your beatings.
Oh,
yeah.
I'll take a lot of your beatings, and then especially when we got older, I feel like I had to like. I don't even think it's like real like rebelling. I think it was like just doing regular stuff. And I had to take those bullets before Christian went in. It would be like, oh, I'm getting my ear pierced. And it'd be all hell breaking loose. And then it'd be like, oh, I come home from college one day. Oh, Christian got his ears. There's no issue. We told him to go get them done. It looks good on him.
Oldest, no, I have to.
Well, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You guys are all boys. So him being the only boy, me being the only girl, like we had different experiences. But being the oldest, I definitely feel like I had to like break mom in because she was so easy with you and so strict on me. I feel like part of it is because I'm a girl, but then also because I'm like the first, and she's trying to figure things out. But that was a definitely interesting time. I do remember. I feel like you were like my first best friend because we were just always together.
Yes.
Like I think one of the memories that stick out is how we always used to play Madden, NCAA.
Yeah, you would be like Nebraska. You was Nebraska. I forget.
What's the black and orange team?
What? That's the Bengals.
The Bengals.
I
used to say
Madden
the
for
Bengals.
You didn't say Madden.
Also, you know what?
I was like,
it was Penn State.
Penn State.
And I was Nebraska.
No, Penn State was my team, but then when we played Madden, I just wanted to be the Bengals because I like the color.
Yeah.
But like. He was like the first person I like got in the video game.
Bro, we played Tekken all day long, Crash Bandicoot,
Smackdown,
Resident Evil, Dino Crisis. But one thing I would love to say too, because you were my first best friend, and you kind of helped like me understand and develop character because you took all those bullets and because you softened mom up. And mom also didn't really know what to do with me, and she started myself. Like she put me a bunch of programs, like theater, tennis, basketball, chess, all that because like I don't know how to raise a boy.
Right. Yeah.
And not only are you a boy, but you're hard headed, and you're also willing to just do whatever you want and not think about it. And my mom had to actually understand me more because I think she understood that Crystal will make sure he doesn't draw too much. He's not talking to me, but he's talking to Crystal. And are you in communication with him to the point where my mom, if I disappear, which I'm known to do, D&D me, she would call her first and contact your brother. So
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that's the oldest.
I wish I had y'all though. Like I wish I had older brothers to fight with and to run. Because when I was growing, I was soft though. I was a cry about everything. I was crying.
You kind of didn't want that. Not with the age gap.
No,
I cried.
No,
I lost all those wars.
Yeah, because you was drawing. No, time out. Let's also not do this where he definitely tried to start it, but he got it from you because you were always doing stuff to me. So here's a little backdrop. I got bigger than everyone. I was the biggest in the house by the time I was in 8th grade. Like I was just taller than.
Right before.
Well, I guess that was the time I realized it because I was just started to like get like muscle, like understand like strength, and like so like me and you always fought, of course. And then he was like, it was like bigger than like mom, and I was like if you like try to like hit me, like it doesn't hurt, like I'm like good. And so Stefan would always do was he would do something to me. Like I would be sitting there doing nothing, minding my business, and then Stefan would like hit me or throw something at me and be like and call me a punk. And so then when I get up and like I retaliate, it was like always more and much harder. And they was like, "Well, you went too far." And I was like, "I didn't do anything to start this at all."
Taller than him yet? Because
Yes.
I
got told this. I was told this Stefan and my mom. It was like I remember being like stronger in the 8th grade. I was like when I was like, "Oh, like I'm stronger than everyone here. I'm bigger than everyone here." Like
I honestly like in my adult mind, I feel like I probably was doing most of that because of, like I said, unfortunately, like you said earlier, where it's like realistically, it's the 4 of us in the house. It's me, you, Mayo, and Carl, and I'm the oldest person. And again, by the time you and Carl in 8th grade, y'all both bigger than me. But I'm like, all right, how do I keep?
assert my dominance.
Like, how do I keep? Like, how do I stay in charge? And I guess this goes into like the meat potatoes as episode is like because there was no dad in the house, so essentially it's like if I have to be in charge, and especially that 6th to 8th grade when we all are still trying to like figure it out. We don't know like we don't have a routine yet. We're literally like learning on the fly, and we're in a new town, we're in a new house, we're in a new school, and
Carl's new to this.
I'm about to say, and Carl is new, so it's like we are literally all just figuring each other out, and then like you say, throwing a loop where it's like, all right, so now my little brother is bigger than me, and that was then because even then it was like I was. Like even like the height I was in high school, I still was growing after high school. I didn't get like super tall, but just bigger than I was then at like 16, even younger. So it's like I feel like it was like we all figuring it out. And I know for myself how frustrated I was that I had to be responsible for y'all. And I remember I used to get in trouble for it. Because I used to say to my mom, it's like, I'm not their father. And it's like, don't. And I think I would especially say like male because I'm like, he always had to come to me. And that's when I was like, all right, I'm okay if we in the house and I got to babysit. But one of the things that kept getting me, I was like, I'm not their dad. Like, why am I like not able to do something because I got to stay in the house with my brothers? Or why am I having to, I guess, and the thing was like, Mel would come to Greg's house and I wouldn't even see him the whole time. He'd be in the house with Greg's younger brother and sister. But it's like, why do I feel like I'm being punished every time I have to like watch them or like take them somewhere? And it's like, I don't get like these moments to myself to just go and be the kid that I want to be. Because especially even after we start to get settled and it's like, all right, now we got like regular friends that get to stay our friends because we're not moved anymore, stuff like that. So I think that's probably why I was doing it a lot. But I guess that takes us to, like I said, the unfortunate meat potatoes that the thing that we all have in common is that for all of us, none of us like had like our biological fathers in the house. I was like I said, I was blessed that I was able to go to my dad's house on the weekend and spend time with him and my brothers. But that's not the case for you guys. So I was kind of like, okay, let's get into it. It was like, what was that like having like no? Because I guess for me, going to my dad's house was at least the escape for a little bit because I get to go over there, and now I'm not the oldest; I'm the youngest, and I have zero responsibility. So it was such a drastic change, and again, being the youngest, my dad was basically like, all right, don't do nothing crazy, you get a beating. So it's just easy to just be free because you're not gonna do nothing because you don't want to be. So, but what was it like? Like I said, having I guess going into those relationships and like not having the father in the house.
Well, I'm interested to hear you guys because I don't even know this side from you guys at all.
Yeah, I guess you guys don't really know my story.
I was like, yeah, I know a good amount, but it's like, yeah, I don't know this side. I mean, this doesn't come up during, rehearsal day.
Right.
So, Crystal, what kind of trauma do you have?
Right. not the first birthday party stuff.
It's not drama. Honestly, I feel like it's like unfortunately, a typical Black story where I mean, not only was my father not in the house, but like I didn't know him like at all. I don't think I ever met him. Like the only reason I know what he looks like is after I found out he died. I found like in those cards that say like, sorry to announce that such and such has passed away, blah blah blah. Like I saw one of those pictures, and that's the first time I actually saw it.
Yeah.
Let me not get started. See, I didn't want to.
Yeah, I am strapped. I got tissues on deck. See, I'm trying to tell you. You good, man?
Yeah, this is crazy. Like, we just started. Like, what is this? 15 minutes in? My God. Okay. But yeah, so I didn't grow up with Go ahead, you tell your story.
Right.
You're gonna come back to me.
So again, my story happens roughly 5.5, 6 years later, and my circumstance is completely different because for the first X amount of years, we're hopping, house to house, we're staying with different people. Ooh, I don't know who my father is, nor do I care because I'm very out of sight, out of mind. I never once in my mother's life did I ask who's my dad.
Yeah.
So I do end up meeting my dad years later, right? First time I ever talked to my dad was on the phone. I'm 18. I went to Kappa at the time, just about to do my last show as a senior. And my older sister, Clarice, shout out to Clarice, she found me on Facebook.
Do you remember how that happened?
I'm
She
about to
actually
tell the
reached out to
story.
me.
About to tell the story.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So like, and it's crazy. And here's the crazy thing. Before I jump into that, like a lot of kids don't really forget, even to when they become adults. No matter how young, they don't really forget. They might mask and put it places. But I was somebody who just never masked it. So I never forget. So yeah, I'm about to tell the story. I'm coming home from basketball practice. And I'm on Facebook. I get this wild message from Clarice Melvin. It's like a paragraph. It's like a page long. And it pretty much said, if you're Blake Melvin, who has a sister named Crystal Hatton, and your mother's Marie McFarland, I am your oldest sister.
All the names.
Right. Blur that out. Got blur that part out.
It's not like I'm getting interviewed for a rap podcast. Like, ain't no beef. Like, these are civilians. I don't know who they are. It's just names to a wall. Anyway, all right, but no, so yeah, we'll immediately call Crystal upstairs. I'm like, yo, Crystal, come here. Like, this is wild. Read this, and she looked at it, and I guess she might have already reached out to you first. Because she was like, I might have texted you. I don't know if we texted at the time. But she was like respond to her, pretty much. Going, whoa. I respond, it's actually my sister.
And she looked just like you. Like
it's
was
just
very clear.
It's kind of hard to like.
It's his face, but with like hair, like a girl.
And I look smack like my dad. So long story short, like we connect, we talk for a little bit, and then like that show night, she was like, your dad want to talk to you, want to call you. So I was like, yeah. He said, but he's nervous. I'm like, well, he nervous. But I tell that man call me. Like, yeah, call me. So he called me. We talked for about 3 minutes, and we didn't talk again until like 21. That's a different story for later. But
you got to meet him.
I got to meet him 3 times now. And like, I still got his number. I mean, we don't utilize it, but I think we have an understanding that, like, yo, if you ever need to reach out, like, I'm right here. Because when we first met, I went down North Carolina, family reunion. That's when I met all my other brothers and sisters. And my dad was a Rolling Stone. They call him I-95, like, short, like,
That's crazy.
Call him
my
I-95.
man's is whipping a Greyhound, picking up and dropping off. Like, I'm trying to tell you. And
Wow.
so, you know what I mean? We got to talk, and it was so huge for me to sit down and talk with this man in person. Again, this when I was 21. Met all my other family, Melvin gang, were all alike, but just to see certain habits that I was already developing at 21, and certain understandings of who I was becoming as a man, why I had no reason, because it wasn't like Crystal, it wasn't like mom or anybody else who was help raising me. I was like, oh, dog, this comes from you. And that meant a lot to me because that helped me pinpoint more of what I wanted to correct and what I took pride in. I remember him looking me in my eyes and he's like, you're Melvin, you know what I mean? You good and evil. And I ain't know what that meant. It took a long time I met this man. I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah, okay, I think I'm ready. Okay, so yeah, like you mentioned, like, I guess growing up, I definitely don't remember a male figure at all until the Terrys. God bless them.
Yes.
So, growing up, I mean, I think the first family that kind of like adopted us or adopted me because I'm older was the West family, like my grandma West. She started as my babysitter since I was like 6 weeks old. 6 weeks old, so when my mom was working, she was like watching me. Eventually, became family. I used to, live with her for a little bit. And then, we moved around so much, like within the vicinity of Philadelphia. But we moved around, went to a bunch of different schools. And then we finally got some stability when we moved in with the Terrys. So it's just, I call him my dad.
That's your dad.
That is my dad. And what I love about it, that's like the dad that we share. Because biologically, we got the same mom, but we have different dads.
Yeah.
But with the Terry family, they also started as babysitters. I'm like, God is so funny. Like, every person that became our extended family started as like babysitters. Like, while my mom had to work, they watch us, and I guess everyone just loved us. But that's like the biggest blessing. Because I remember the day that, like, I asked him if like we could call him dad. And I wonder if I gotta ask me to remember, but I remember I was just like, I think it was like, Mr. Mark.
Mr. Mark.
Let me call you Dad. He was like, yeah. And then ever since then, my mom, Papa was his parents, and it was that. But prior to that, don't ever remember a man, male figure. And then because we had Dad, I don't think it bothered me too much to think about like my actual father. Like you, I never asked Mom about him. It's just, part of me felt like we didn't really have a culture of like talking about things anyway. So even if it's something I thought, like, I actually have a memory of like looking in the yellow pages for like Hattons to see, like, is this nigga alive? Like, where he live? Like,
Yellow pages is wild. Dating yourself.
I have a memory of doing that, but like, I never asked anything. I think maybe once in high school she might have like sat me down and had like a conversation about it, but it wasn't too deep. But what made me actually think about it was like after I graduated from college, I don't know, just something made me like want to look for him. I think I was thinking more about like family. We were together. We weren't engaged yet, but you just started like, I just started having this realization, like, I have had this last name for my whole life and I don't even know the man who I got this name from. Like, why is my name not McFarland? Why am I a Hatton? I don't know no Hattons. And I think that kind of is what made me think, like, I know he ain't looking for me, but if he's out there, maybe, I just have questions. So I went through the process of trying to find him. I started on like online. And then my grandma West, her nephew, he's a judge. And she like connected me with him, and he like helped do some research to like find like, is this guy still around? That's where I found out that he had passed away like probably a couple of years earlier. So that was like kind of like, ooh, like I'm looking for this man, but he's gone. So it's like lost opportunity. So I think when that We gonna have to go to another question.
I would say that it's kind of cool hearing now because I don't know the first 6 years of it, right? And just to hear certain things, like we definitely did not have a culture of you speak on anything.
Yeah.
You didn't really have an opinion when it came to my mother, at least when I was coming up, and so kind of just to hear the start of it because I never questioned nothing because I was raised and nobody's questioning nothing.
Yeah.
This is just
That
reality.
is what it is.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad thing. It wasn't a good. I mean,
But also, I felt like if I'm questioning like why things aren't the way that I think they should be, it's like it's kind of making me seem like I'm not appreciative of what I do have. Because like I felt like even though the earlier years were a little unstable, like we were still so blessed. Like we didn't have immediate family that we were like close to. But we had like this extended family that like you couldn't tell no difference, right? So I felt like so blessed to like have people in my life. Like I didn't really like question why things weren't like the norm.
It's definitely not a devalue of appreciation. I think the same thing that made Clarice want to come find me, and she has brothers, she has a mom.
Well,
she
you know,
knew
there's
her
family
dad.
out there. Like you want to, right?
Because it's family. Like it's a pull, it's a bloodline, it's a tie, and you want to know. You kind of just want to know, and you deserve to know.
Right.
And I would say, I think the thing with that is you don't want to question it because then you would actually. There's a part of you that's like, all right, I'm about to really ask like the person that takes care of me, that does everything for me the much as they can. I'm now about to start asking them about things, the bad choices that they make, and it's almost like you're. I'm about to rip down this wall. Like, dang, like, again, your mother, you do everything you can for me, but if I ask questions about this other stuff, it's like now I got to get into like who are you? Like, there's a part of you that I don't know, and like Shannon or Maureen, where it's like now I'm getting into Shannon or Maureen, not mom. Now I'm getting into that.
Yeah.
So I think that's the part about it. So I guess,
and that's true. Yeah.
Yes, I had the closest to that experience when it came to parentage. Um, I met my dad when I was a guy. I think it was like 13, 14. And I was at school, Strathaven. It was 8th grade. It was during lunch. I came, we were at lunch. And my mom, I get called, not even to the office, like to like the front of not the front of the lunchroom, but it's like where people walk up the steps. So I go over there to where they are, my mom and this dude I don't know. And he's like, and she literally just like, there's your dad. Like it was like the most like off the him. Like, this is your dad. Kind of thing. Now, my 13, 14-year-old brain, that might not have been exactly how it was, but you all know Shannon. It definitely was not like a, so,
honey,
here's
yeah,
in the biggest nation. It was definitely a little bit like him.
this
Like,
nigga.
okay. It was like, I understand what this is. And I remember when I was younger, like I was like super excited. I was like fired up about it because at the time, from moving from Chester to Swarthmore, everyone in Swarthmore had a mom and a dad who were in the house. This is even before, I know the divorce rates like higher and higher and higher all the time. But it was like, I feel before that was like a big thing, like where everyone had two parents in the house, So I wanted that. I was like pissed off that I did not have that someone who can go do the this is like the father son basketball thing, or this is this outing and this, and I was like always really jealous. I was like, I want to do that. And then I remember when I met him, it was like I was all the stuff that I thought I couldn't do, I can now do because I've met him now, so that means that he's here now. I was very wrong, like very wrong. We saw each other again, probably from middle school to high school. Once a year, he would take me out to eat for definitely 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. I want to say 11th and 12th grade, I was like kind of over it. Like I was just like, what are we doing here? Like, is this? But like we would always go to Old Country Buffet. Like I said before, I used to be a big, like I would eat a lot. So we would go to Old Country Buffet and I could eat as much as I wanted, and then we talk about I don't know what, and I don't think I was asking him really hard hitting questions. At the time, just like kind of fired up to be around him. And then I remember my sophomore year. So it was like the third time we've done it. And I started to get kind of like wary of like, what is the purpose? What do we do? Like, what are you doing this for? Like, you, nothing else has changed. He got me my first phone though. And I'm ready to like message him like, hey, thank you for the phone. Like a little weirdo that I was. Like, this being like said, he's probably sitting, wherever he was, like, what is this idiot texting me? Just like, I had a good day in school, love you, bye. Like, and
Anytime.
yeah, he gave me my first phone. And then after a while, mom got me a phone. So I was like, yeah, this is just the first phone. He gave me like a Nokia little brick, which was awesome at the time.
Yeah.
And then people started having the chirp phones, and I was like, oh. Then mom put me on the phone. I was like, okay, I'll take one of these. But yeah, and I guess for me, the big weird thing for me was like this stuff was like, oh, you're just like your dad. I never really experienced before. And then because my dad used to go to the church that we went to and had a lot of family there. Like I had a sister who I knew her entire life. She was Mabel's age. And she went to the church and she was like, young, just like, I'm your sister. And I was like, that was what happened. She was just like, yeah, I'm your sister. These are all your cousins. And these are people who I grew up with my entire life to this point. I had no idea.
Wow.
They knew. Everyone knew. It was like a don't tell.
Yeah, I would say that was always the thing that, like, once I found out, I think that was the thing that bothered me is because, and I think you saw it like once or twice where it was like, we know these people, like know them, and it was just like nobody saying anything, and I mean I guess it's hard to hold somebody accountable that doesn't want to be, it's not going to be, whatever. But that was rough because it was like I would get mad, but I'm like I'm not even in this situation because like I said, you knew them and like like I know it's like his older sister. Like I had a relationship with him before I knew that was his older sister. Even him, I had a relationship with him before I knew who he was, and it was like
that's crazy. I didn't.
No, like
see, I don't remember. I don't remember knowing anything. I don't remember knowing my older sister. I don't remember like ever. I remember one time when I think I sat next to him at church one time because we went to the church that his grandfather or my grandfather, so his dad like ran. Right?
Yeah,
it was like our sister church.
Yeah.
And I want to say somebody said it. It was one of the cousins who I didn't know was a cousin at the time was like, that's your dad. Because that was like the big game was like, that's your dad. And it was like very random things. It was like, the rat from Chuck E. Cheese is your dad. And I was just like, I'm young and dumb. I'm just like, that's what people dad. Going to stand next to this rat and looking up at him. But that happened in church when it was like, hey, that's your dad. And I'm just like, dummy, just waddle over there, sit next to him, just like looking at him. He didn't say anything to me, but I remember vividly being like, "Sure, him too. Who knows?"
Yeah.
And that's the only time I ever remember being around him before the lunch incident.
Wow. One thing I will say is my mother did a great job on, at least for me personally, distracting me on like that. I never felt that missing piece. I never had that search. And fortunately, again, shout out to the Terrys, WD, Papa, and Dad. But I do wish sometimes I had a direct link in the house, like because I never learned the disappointments of a black man. I never learned to really bounce back and counteract when sometimes I was very spoiled. I wasn't a brat. I was appreciative most of the times, but my grandpa's favorite line was "Get that boy what he want."
Yeah, you was spoiled.
Period.
But that's because they didn't have any children.
And that's
like they were blessing to us, but we were blessing to them because the Sherrick family, like they had no kids.
And so I was going to say that it was like my male role models. Everybody was my grandpa. You know how your grandparents are just super nice, and they're just not there to correct. They're just there to make it easier, and it was great because that allowed me to just go chase dreams, have no fears. But then you get older and then you start experiencing realities of life and you didn't really have that part to fall back on.
Sitting there, Alright. Well, so for me, like my dad was around when I was younger, like a little bit. I remember like there were definitely times where I like went to his house. So he has four kids, right? And I'm the third. I have my younger brother Ashton, who I only met because of the funeral from when my dad died.
Right.
And I was like 21 or 20, 21-ish. And I believe he was like 17.
Oh,
Yeah, his mom like had him and went straight to North Carolina. So like even my older brother Dre, like he had never met him. Dre or Anton, neither of them met him before that. So it was like it's a funeral and it's like, oh, like a coming out party. Like, yo, oh yeah, this is your brother. This is your brother.
Yeah.
Like, nice to meet you, you know?
Yeah.
But for my dad, at least, 'cause, like, I did go to his house. And one of the things that makes me mad now, it didn't make me mad before, but it makes me mad now, is knowing how close he was insane walking distance.
Literally.
So,
that part.
Love you, bro.
so where my dad lives is like, it's right next to that 95 South entrance.
Yeah.
We don't be telling people where we live.
Right. Yeah.
95.
Hold on. Tell people where we live.
I said a 95 South entrance. That stands like 17 states.
No, say the exit.
I didn't say any numbers. I haven't said any streets. I haven't said any numbers. I'm not. No. So.
It's the young ones, man. They're not listening.
But no, so like he lives right there, and it's like wow, like 5 minutes, and like my whole life, like he didn't live anywhere else the entirety of my life. Same house, same block.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, man, so like you really just don't care. There's no bigger way to at one point him and mom were working together. There was, like I said, there were times where I did go to his house. And like at the funeral, I saw one of like his exes, and I was like, I hadn't seen her forever, and she's probably the first. That was like she made. I think it was like gumbo all the time, and like I loved it. And I wasn't over there like that much, but it's like that's a distinct memory of someone that my dad might have only been together with for maybe a year or two.
Yeah.
And I don't specifically know, but it's kind of weird. And it's like you were there the entire time.
Yeah.
Where you worked at. Mom used to take me to work with her in the mornings and then like drive me off to school. So it's like you were literally always around and just never around.
Yeah.
At the same time. So it was really weird. But like I have pictures with him, from when my oldest brother graduated from college. It's like I have a picture with him and my dad. I have those kind of things, but it's like there was just never the relationship behind it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I was saying that was also, I guess, that was even tough. Because like I said, Christian, I'm sure remember where it's like when we used to go to the salon or whatever, be there, stealing sugar packets, eating or whatever. But I admit that I had like a big, especially with you, Neil, I felt a lot of guilt because I don't think I knew how to like support as a brother because of how much like I could not stand that nigga on his or like just me and him relationship. And it used to, and I don't think it was until he died. Cause even like that, when I worked in the same building as him, and it's like you see him, and it was like I'm sure he probably felt the same. It was like you look at each other and just keep on walking. It was like I know who you are, you know who I am. You don't speak like nothing. And I couldn't stand it, and it wasn't until like he died, and then I think finding out because I think you told us like stuff started happening, you like having like anxiety and things, and I'm like, dang, like how do I felt bad because it was like I can't support you because it's like I hate that dude, so I don't have no sympathy that he died because one of the biggest things for me is like I really truly can't stand niggas that don't take care of their kids. Like I it's something like I hate it with all of my heart. And so like with him, it was tough. And then as you get older, I'm like, dang, like with me, just kind of staying distant and being like, all right, what happened, whatever. But it's like I'm also not going to my brother and be like, nigga, is you okay? Like, are you all right? And
you can't put that on your shows because we just weren't ever taught to even ask, "Are you okay?" Like that. Like that was something that we just never did. So it was just like, "Be good."
yeah,
Or we'll be good. Like, we'll be fine.
yeah.
We just gotta
figure it out.
just thug it out. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I'm about to say, but now I don't think I even knew the language to put it until I'm with Crystal and she's looking for her father. And my thing, even with her, like she's telling me stuff, and I'm like, that nigga. Shh.
Watch your mouth. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put the.
Someone just had.
But that, like, then again, not even because it's like I knew him personally, but it's just like, you got a kid out there. You choose not to look. I'm like, I can't support that. I don't know how to support that. And again, today I would be like, you know what? I'm gonna just support Crystal, whatever she wants to do, and be there for her. I'm gonna support Emmanuel or whatever to do. But at the time, I'm like I said, I'm young, and I'm just like, man, like I can't get down with that. Especially because at that time, like I said, I'm new to y'all family, but I'm like, I see how good that Mark Terry is to y'all. So in my mind, I'm like, take that. You gotta win. Like, so it was tough for me to understand that, and I guess even kind of while we're in that thing, I guess the appreciation, because again, I guess we didn't inherit like whole family, but it's like the thing we did get was that we did get food that came in and essentially was the father figure in and around us for even to this day. So
yeah,
there's like an appreciation for him, and especially I say you, because Vago, he be tripping.
He was drawing.
She be tripping.
He was wild.
But something, yeah.
Too much scrap.
Legend has it. I was terrible. I don't.
Yeah, I
don't remember that being the case.
What's the myths?
So I said the quick story that I always laugh at is like something happened. Man was at elementary school and he had a day in kindergarten.
Freaked out.
Started just tearing up the room, flipping desks, and all this other stuff.
Tearing
then like
pictures off the wall.
Yeah, tearing pictures off the wall, and then like running into the woods.
He was just disappearing too. He's like,
right, yeah.
In the woods.
Yeah. So nobody, I guess they probably was like, we don't know what happened, blah blah blah. But it was like the next day, it's just, hey, look, we took Emmanuel to the zoo, and he was fine.
Will was so mad. Like, wait, he went to the zoo? He went to the zoo? Well, I just want to just piggyback real quick because I have a similar thing with you, where it's like the disdain for like these men who were in people's lives.
Mm-hmm.
So like Emmanuel, had that with his father, and I just remember I did not have as much. I was more. I think at this point I was like, who cares? Just move on.
Yeah.
And my younger, one of my younger sisters, Brianna, she kind of had a period where she was like, oh well, like I'm trying to talk to Dad and this stuff because he was in still is in Philadelphia, and she was like, oh, I'm trying to do this, and then it'll be like kind of cyclical where she would do that, she'd get excited, oh, he's calling me, I can call him, blah blah blah, and then the valve gets turned off, and she comes back and she's sad, and I was like, she's always was trying to go find him and like make and build a relationship, and at this point I was more cynical, less cynical than now, but I was on my way, I was like, who cares? Like seriously, like who cares? Like you are just going to hurt yourself, so don't do it. Which is obviously the wrong way to go about things. But I was young, and I was not used to having a sister, and I feel guilty still because I do have two sisters that I know of that live in Philadelphia, and they each have kids, and before China, I was more involved, but like since I came back, it's like I haven't been what I could be to these people who are related to me and share maybe not the same trauma, but similar levels of trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the same thing that I would say to Emmanuel well, the same thing I would say to Brianna was just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Like that. Because I remember when Emmanuel found out that his dad died, we were talking. He asked me, I don't know if you remember this, but he asked me, like, should I be sad? And I was like, no, who cares? Because at the time, I was just like, who, like, seriously, who cares? He wasn't around. He was around the corner and he wasn't around.
Yeah.
Right.
So he didn't give you a second thought. Don't give him or his passing a second thought. And that was, once again, probably the wrong thing to say, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't know. I was never taught anything different other than, okay, he don't want to be around, and why would I care?
Yeah.
And
I always wonder if proximity to said father makes a difference because I'm so close to my siblings on my dad's side now, all my sisters and my brother. And they have that same type of, besides like Zori has it's besides Z, I mean, she has like a frustration, but she's actually the one who goes to bat for my biological dad a lot. But everybody else kind of has like a lot of trepidation and disdain towards him because he did have moments in the life. So he actually was there. For me, being cities away, they in North Carolina, I'm in Philly, out of sight, out of mind, that even when I started to ask some questions when we did finally meet and talk, there was never like, I would never felt like he could upset me because there was no value placed at the time
exactly
for him to upset me.
Yeah.
That's deep.
Well, so that's kind of what I feel like that was kind of what made it that's what made it hard for me to process the whole thing. And so like specifically that conversation happened. We were in the car. Chris was dropping me off to college when I got that call from Dre. So, you know, and that's like an hour and a half drive. I want to say we were about halfway in. And Drake, you know, my older brother calls. He's like, yeah, like dad passed on the phone. Then I said to Christian, and he was like, how you feeling? I was like, I don't know. Like, am I supposed to feel something?
Yeah.
Right. But then it kind of like, I guess part of the problem was it built up, you know, because like now you have people who are asking you this and it's like, I don't know. But also, why are we continuing to ask me? Like, everyone's like, oh, like your dad passed. How you feeling? Like he was around for this to be something that should make me feel bad.
Yeah.
You know, and then, but also trying to process the emotional of it. I'm just like, yeah, like I know this is messed up. Like it was a messed up situation, but it's like, does that make me a bad person if it's like, you know, but that's still my dad. Like, yeah, Dre called me, he was crying, but he had a relationship with him. So it was like, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
You know, and I was trying to kind of navigate, like, am I supposed to feel bad about this? Is this a problem? And like, when they started putting the funeral and all that stuff together, at first I told Mom, I was like, yeah, like, don't come get me. Like, why would I go? Right. Do I, like, why would I have a responsibility to go just because he was my father? Like, he wasn't there, so then why would I be there?
So you didn't go? You didn't go to the funeral?
No. I did. Yeah. I mean, technically speaking, Mom made me go.
Right.
That's no choice.
But at the same time, like, now I had a brother, and we now have a relationship, so it's like a positive did come out of it.
Yeah.
But it was just like, that was the emotional minefield, and because like you're right here, but like the person who told Mom, you know, that's someone that I knew goes to church with my mom, you know, so it's like, it's all people I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, now it's, oh yeah, he wants to see him. Oh, he wants to talk to him. Like I went and visited him in the hospital one time.
That's when he's on his deathbed and you want to talk to him.
Right. So he ended up in the hospital and, you know, he told somebody who called Mom and she told me. It was like, I went and it was probably like the most awkward conversation of my life.
Wow.
You know, and my friends were sitting in the hallway at Crozier while I went to go have this conversation because we were like on the way to a Phillies game.
Oh,
that's wild.
So,
yeah, I know that.
So,
that's wild.
Yeah. And so it's like, I was talking to him and this was probably a few months before he did actually pass, but it was like, again, why is this, you know, like I had bad asthma growing up. All the times I went to the hospital, it was like, never see him, not once. So why do I have to go?
Yeah.
You know, that
No, I get
Right.
it. I definitely get it. And I feel like I definitely had mixed feelings too. I had no one that I could talk to about it. Like after I found out that he died, it was years after he had passed. So it wasn't like I
So
got a
it's fresh.
notification,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
But when I found out, I mean, it hit me because it was like, well, this is the end of my search. It's like, where we go from here? Um, Now, I did end up meeting I had two brothers that are his sons. And I found one of them on Facebook not too much longer after that. And I was really struggling with like, should I even reach out to him? Because I never asked my mom, like, do these niggas know who I am?
Yeah.
Like, I know that my father knew who I was because from what I hear from Grandma West used to tell me, like, he was around the very early months. So he was well aware of me, and I know there was a situation where he had, his family. So it was a little complicated,
Yeah.
but regardless, he knew about me and he did not live too far from me. I think he was from Jersey. His office was like, he had an office on Ivy Hill Road, which is around the corner from where we grew up. So just like you were saying, like he was in the proximity, and it's crazy to realize like he was around and never was looking for me. So I think that hurt. But I was like, I don't know if I should reach out to this guy. When I was in grad school, they were offering free therapy. And I was like, I feel like I have a lot going on. I don't have anyone to talk about this with. Maybe I should just like check it out.
Yeah.
So that was the first time I did therapy, and it was with this lady. She was really, really nice, but she was the first person I like talked about this. Was like I really impacted a lot with her. It was only 3 free sessions, so I probably didn't really get as much. I wasn't paying.
Yeah.
I was a broke college student, so I was like, I'm gonna get the most out of these 3 free sessions. So clearly, I'm not healed because 10 minutes into the conversation, I could help but start to cry. But
I never knew that he was, because again, like the
he
first
was
6 years,
around.
I wasn't
He was a
around.
prominent businessman in Philadelphia.
But
like I googled this man, and I'm like, he was like wealthy.
One
But
thing,
I'm after we ain't gonna.
one thing I would say,
Yeah.
I'll make it quick, but just kind of hearing those aspects and like just different dynamics, I guess, of how him and mom separate. Because then when I get to meet my dad, and he tells me the story about the only time he seen me when I was a little child, and the last time was with my mom, and how upset she was when she really brought me down there to show this man that you'll never see this kid again. And it's I'm hearing snippets that dang, my mother kind of just went through some wild thing with somebody else before. Here she is thinking that, oh, she finally found a gentleman, because my dad a player. He gonna speak that talk to you. And my mom gets woo 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 into another same situation that she probably thought she already overcame. Like, so it's crazy. So then, like, another thing, when I was talking to my pops, I always gave him full grace because I never had no anger towards him. That like you as a person figuring shit out. And so
Yeah. I was gonna say,
oh wait, I didn't finish. I gotta tell you how it ended. So I did end up, the therapist helped me to like get the courage to reach out to him on Facebook. I did end up connecting with him and his other brother. We had dinner. So I got to meet them one time. Unfortunately, after that, they definitely ghosted me. So I haven't talked to them in 12 years. I've reached out, no word. So I don't know what happened with that. I got really excited when I met them. So I was like, man, maybe I'll get to know this side. Nope.
They gave you closure for their own karma, but
and I was saying, and that was the tough part because again, we were dating at the time, and I remember, I think y'all were at the dinner close by your apartment or something like that.
Yeah.
And I remember I was like,
that's when you were like, why do you care so much?
I'm like cursing, like I'm like, these niggas, like all of them, like I'm snapping because I'm like, yo, stop. And I guess kind of what you were saying, because you're like, stop setting yourself up to like get chopped down by people that don't even matter. And that was like, and I guess that was more so, I probably felt that like, I felt that way because I care for you. And in the same way, like we all do, is like, you care for these people and you just are like, don't put yourself in a situation to be hurt. And I think that was the rough part. And I'm sure I said even worse for you because it's like, you're in it. And it looked like it could be different. And then it turned out to be exactly the same. But I was going to ask the question, I guess, for all of y'all, is like, did y'all have a similar situation where, like, after all these things happened, that you like talk to somebody about it, or I guess, or even if not talking to someone about it, but it's like, how do how do you reconcile that relationship today? Like, or how do you kind of make peace with it to go forward today?
I think I had kind of the same thing with Blake after a while, because in the beginning I had that like really just disdain, just like kind of hatred thing, and then we should have a therapist here. Honestly, that chair right there should be with someone with a dope back. Like, yeah, y'all really, y'all want some shit.
Y'all got some trauma.
Yeah. No, like I think I want to say the thing that changed for me was I stopped caring, because I first had the anger, like the real, like legitimate, like real, like really angry. And the thing that made me, this is a quick aside, the thing that made me the most angry, and it still does to this day. And honestly, this is probably a big reason why I stopped going gospeling at all, is that everyone there was always like, I know you hate to say this, but you look just like your dad. And I was like, you can't preface this by saying, I know you hate to say this, and then say it.
Yeah.
And then say it over and over and over again. It's like, the worst thing you could do is compare me to the person who, at the time especially, like I hated the most. It was like, I'd rather just had not known anything about him and just went through my life that way than to be like, oh, you look just like him, and then all the good stories, and this is like always just super frustrating. But I think going away to college, being around different types of people, then especially moving to China was a big thing for me, where it's like the kind of hatred thing left, and it turned more into like just doesn't matter, and it turned into, I think I'm awesome, and I think that, well, like people that I meet them, they think that I'm a good person, and I did that without him. So why would I be mad at him for, in a way, I don't want to give any credit, but I am who I am because he wasn't there. Maybe I'm worse if he was there. Maybe I'm better, who knows? But I know I am exactly what I am today, and he wasn't there. So maybe it's not causation, but there's some effect there, where it's just, it's easier for me to just say, it's just,
it is what
it is. No hatred. Like even the time when you met him, the time when Crystal met him, we had to cut that.
Where were we at? I think one of the.
No, we weren't at church. It was on Patsy's 60th birthday at Maggiano's.
Now I met him before the and it was like a church function, but it was so crazy figuring out like how close like his family's in the church, like just connecting the dots about how close these people are, and they're like not in your life. Like that's the craziest thing to me. But it was a birthday party, and he was like across the table from us.
If you're right there, right there.
He was right there, and like I thought it was so strange. I'm like, you guys didn't make eye contact, you didn't speak, and it really bothered me. I was like, we are in the same room. That is your son. That is your father. Why is there no? I think there was one point where we walked over to his table. Like, he spoke to you. I think he dapped you up. And I'm just like, I was so confused. I'm like, is nobody like, I was getting mad because I was like, is anybody going to say something? Like, I don't want to be the one.
You got mad because I was talking to Larry, who was sitting
Larry was sitting. I'm sorry. It's coming back. I was angry.
I was standing. It was my dad, Larry, and I was standing right next to him.
Oh, you talking about the King of Prussia man?
Yes. I was standing literally like right next to him.
Yes.
Or the other side of Larry, and he like was in his chair and did the.
He turned his back. Like,
he did that.
I was just.
This was like 4 years ago.
I was looking like, I was like, wait for him, just turn around, just eye contact, anything, and it was nothing, and my blood was boiling. I was like, yo.
Then that's when Stefan had to like carry you out.
I was saying, like, that was the thing.
Christian, if you wanted to fight that day, I'll be right behind you.
Weren't you pregnant? Weren't you pregnant?
No, I wasn't pregnant. No
way. I think you actually might have been pregnant.
I'm pretty sure.
No way.
No, because
so
I think you and Emmanuel kept going out to the bar and you weren't coming. But I remember that happening, and I guess the unfortunate part, we get so used to like the way people handle certain things, like we're used to it. But Chris was like starting to get like a little loud of like, Oh, so none of y'all going?
You gonna say this out loud? That
But that's how it was though, because like all those people that were there and super close with him,
but everybody's used to that, and
they're just used to it.
To me, like, where's the accountability? But we're not gonna talk about that. But
that was like, you know, and that's what even. After that, it was like, you know, we get in the car, we're laughing, like not laughing at,
not that it's funny,
not
laughing at Crystal,
laughing at Crystal, like laughing at Crystal, like she had the weird response, like she was the weird thing.
Right.
She don't know.
Get mad about something like that. Like, come on.
You want somebody to be accountable.
Man. And Crystal's like, come on, like we're in the elevator giggling, and she's like angry, pacing in the elevator. Going down. Yeah, that was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It used to make me like really, really angry. I can't tell if this is just like, you know, coping mechanism, which definitely is.
Yeah.
To such much more deep rooted trauma. But it's just like it just is. Yeah. It's just like like even when, as soon as we walk in, it was like, you know, my cousin's sitting there, and then it's like, you know, who's there? Like that was literally how I knew that he was there, because it was like everyone's like giggling, like, guess he's here.
But when you get ready for the show,
because it's like the rule was don't tell me that he's going to be there, because they would thought that I wouldn't show up. I don't know that for a fact, but that had to be it.
Yeah,
because it's like you don't just he just popped up.
Yeah,
like so it was like always like don't say anything to Christian that he's going to be here. Yeah, because I don't like, especially like I said, I stopped going around the church. Like as soon as I went to college, it was like I'll come back and do some stuff sometimes. But I was a big thing behind it was like I'm tired of this whole like, you know, I'm not gonna say it, but you know who you look exactly like. That's like, you just said it.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, I was tired of it, and so then I think people kind of knew it, and so them seeing me around is far and few in between. Outside of, you know, Debbie, Lauren.
Oh, name dropping?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Go back. Just I can do first names. I can say first names. Like for real, like outside of them specifically, it's like those are like the three biggest people who I stay in contact with the most.
Yeah.
Outside of them, it's like people had to like think that like I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm just not doing it. And so I think that the thing was, if we say he's going to be here, he might not show up because he already doesn't show up to anything.
Yeah.
That being me, like I don't go to stuff. And so it's like if we tell him that he's really not going to show up, so just don't say anything. Just tell him to come, see if he comes, and then they're both there. It's like,
yeah. I don't think it was like any ill word, nothing like that. But well, we definitely needed a therapist because I feel like we were like really unpacking here. And I did actually have a question. We just kind of got a lot more detail than I think we anticipated. But like with not having your fathers in the household and that dynamic of like, I guess not seeing that two-parent household, mother-father figure, like how did that impact your view on relationships and marriage and how you treated women? Did it have any impact? Does it now?
I think it's yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And it changed too the older I got, right? I didn't see you didn't either, but when I was growing up, I didn't see much intimacy.
Pour nothing.
Oh, let me get some of that, please.
Yeah.
I didn't see enough. I didn't see any real intimacy. First of all, at all, right? So I never actually learned what that was. I never actually learned what it meant to be a husband, to be a man for a woman, because even my male role models who was in the media house, one was between like 80 to 98 years old.
Yeah.
And so he's just in the bed with his wife all day. So they showed me consistency, I guess. But the other one was, you know, came from California to come take care of his mom who just had a stroke. So he wasn't worried about it, like relationship.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
So off hucks, don't have no idea what intimacy is. And then growing up, having different male role models to I guess, in place father figures because I'd be looking up to these people. The ones I chose to look up to as well didn't produce the best signs of what it meant to like be loyal, to keep steady relationships. And so to this day, I still have to fight with my partner now and with my previous one on just trying to understand what it means to be a man in an aspect of relationship.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that's huge that I know I totally missed out on. But like I said earlier, just even accountability because nobody held me accountable.
Yeah.
I would get in trouble. My mom would take my PlayStation. I love you, Dad. My dad would tell me where it's at. So like, so what we doing? And then I'm going up, and it's like it's learning accountability later in life, you know. But
Yeah.
That's the point. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like with having Boo around, it kind of like it did and didn't. Like you kind of saw it, kind of didn't, or you kind of didn't get the experience of the 2-parent household. This was like I obviously knew like that is not my dad. I was very conscious of that, but it's like at the same time that was heavy part of the male influence in terms of like growing up and learning certain things. Then of course we had Uncle Matt around too, so it's like I think the part of it I had the hardest time with was just like but like why can't it be my actual dad? And not in the sense that they weren't doing a good job. I definitely don't want it to come across as that, but it's just like again, and I guess an extent it's jealousy of just like you did it for one of my brothers. It was just like, and I don't know the extent of the relationship that he had with Anton, but it's like I know you at least did it once, and well, actually, I know him and Anton had a relationship because one point a couple of years back we were all having a conversation, and Anton was like, "Yeah, like I wish you could have spent more time with him. Like he was cool," and it's just like, so you did it 2 times, and then you got to the third, and it was just like that nigga.
I'm gonna have to
You
add
know?
okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but
Gotta
like,
see
More
it.
work in the editing process. It's okay.
no, but it's like it gets to me, and it's just like, yeah,
I get it.
I'm good. Did this 2 times. I don't want to do it again. And then like with Ashton, it's like at least, and I mean, I guess there's also kind of not. We do need a therapist. Like, I was about to say, like, at least you're just nowhere near him, and like that's not the positive.
Yeah.
That is 100% not the takeaway.
Yeah.
Good question.
So wait, what was the question was?
How does it affect
How has it affected not having
Like
your father
dating?
in the household? Yeah.
Manage things like that?
Well, like I said before, I'm pretty cynical about stuff like longevity is not something that like I think is like my strong suit. I think that has a lot to do with it. Where when I was younger, I definitely had like I wanted to be married, I wanted to have kids, and then I think what it did to me was more on a level of like it's like more of the micro or the macro, not the micro. Where to me it's like if this stuff happens all the time, there's so like people in the world who are, just having these kids and just leaving and not giving not a second thought about them. The world is not that great. And I was always kind of not always, but I did start to kind of build up a thing where I was like, I don't want to, I would never want to bring someone into this world. And my big fear growing up was like, I thought I was going to be like him because everybody at the church was telling me how much I looked like him, how much my personality matched his. And it was like, the last thing I want to do is grow up and be like him. And so definitely when I was younger, I had a lot of like holding back of like, and it sucks. I took it out on like the people who I was dating at the time. And, I think once again, I can't even put to words how much me moving out of the country helped me when it came to just like my mental health and just like how I am. I think I've become more concrete in the things that I do believe. But I think that I was able to escape the prism of I'm doing this and I'm shaped this way because of him. And I was able to get past that to where like I feel like I know I'm like more myself than I had been before. And I know that I don't have that baggage on me that I show a lot. Like it's bad because I do like when I'm dating people, I do tell them like about like my situation
Yeah.
because it's like it is part of me, and
Yeah.
once you hear that, it might help you explain kind of what else is happening with me. Right, so like it definitely has affected me, and I'm doing better now than I did before. But yeah, it definitely had an effect.
I would like to take a quick moment though to also highlight like everything in life, the balance. And you kind of touched on it earlier. You was like without your dad in your life, I mean, you became the man that you are now. And like fortunately, without like me and Crystal having the what's it called, prototypical family structure, like we had Modern Family before that was even a hit show.
Nah.
I mean, it was at least 4 to 6 people living in the house at one time, and it was just love. We had Mama, Papa, Crystal, me, Mom, Dad, Petey, and
Petey's the dog.
and y'all like only.
The cat.
Oh, and you're right.
That was an
We had she
Yeah.
in the game, and we only had 2 rooms,
Mm.
but everybody in that house,
3 rooms. Mama and Papa.
Mama, Papa room, our room, the basement. Tight.
2 rooms.
Tight. Tight.
That was a room.
Our mother was sleeping on the living room sofa because she was making sacrifices to create
So we had
a family structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I brag about it because I think I probably had one of the best family upbringings that I could possibly ever had. For a young black man who really was supposed to just be living with his sister, who's 6 years older, that was going to be raising me while my mom worked 2 jobs.
But yeah, okay.
5, 6, I said 5.5, 6.
4, 5. But you go ahead.
I'm sorry. It's not like anybody said our age here. Like it's not like. But anyway,
She giving up tape.
but in hindsight, say Mama and Papa don't stop Mom in the elevator in the Chestnut Hill apartments and say like we see you, like come here.
Giving out more detail. Okay.
All right, say they don't do it.
That's crazy.
Say that don't happen.
Mhm.
It's a whole new reality for us, especially for me. Especially how foolish I was, and not even it wasn't like I was even doing bad stuff. I literally just was jumping off the porch and seeing what life's taking me. And like you, I'm gonna go to the woods. I'm gonna go with a stranger because I felt no sense of danger because of this Modern Family that they provided. Because they gave me no sense of danger. It was only love. It was only support. So
yeah. I think that's the I think that's the beauty of why we're able to sit here and have this conversation and not be like I guess like some crazy thing is that essentially we all did get and especially y'all got the support and love that you needed, even though it didn't come from who it should have came from, but it came from someone. And I think that's the beauty of how we're able to sit here. Normally we'd ask the bright side question, but we learned a little more time. Very low on time. I'm looking at Ricky. See,
Ricky's like, come on,
he
down.
hit the Dave Chappelle wrap it up button.
The bright side.
We're not able to record no more.
The bright side, I think, is that we all still have family. Like we,
absolutely.
There's people that help to kind of fill that void and support us and help us to go through these moments. Like we have each other. And I think there's still hope for relationships. Like I don't think it, sets you in a situation so badly that it's like you would never want to. You want to be better than those men that were in or not in our lives, right? So that's the bright side for me.
Yeah, and I say like I definitely want to give, like I said, all of you, I guess like the props you deserve. Because even like I said, us having kids, like being uncles is like being able to like see that, and see stepping into those roles and like do it well. Like even like I say, like I always tell people about like Maddie's first born. I'm like, Christian did like I never had to leave the house, not because I didn't need stuff, but I was like Christian was like on it before I could even be on it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Like I said, I thank y'all, and I'm glad to see, like I said, that the situation did define who you are today, because I see the men that you are today, and I say I'm proud of all 3 of y'all, knowing you in my personal space. I know you love y'all, and I'm just so grateful for y'all coming through.
Thank you.
Thank you for having
We could
me.
not.
So glad
Super,
y'all are
super
here.
appreciate it.
That's a good job.
Should have looked at part 1 and part 2.
Right.
I'm trying to tell him. I'm trying to tell him.
Part 2 needs to be with a
I feel like
professional.
I was saying, I feel like we
It's gonna be a TV show.
on the surface. Like we
I was about to say, we
ankle deep right now.
this about part 7, and it's gonna be more people added, therapists.
If you were real when you drop it on Fatherless Day.
I also want to say thank you to our mothers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Absolutely.
they
Sure.
definitely held it
100.
down despite, the cards that they were dealt with.
Definitely.
They did the best that they could, and I'll always be appreciative.
Yeah, no, I like I said, I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't hold no punch in that. Shan dog is the real.
Life happens,
Yeah. So.
All right, they trying to kick us out.
No, so
I've been
thank
kicked out
y'all
of better
for tuning
places.
in. Yeah. Thank y'all for tuning in. We hope that you will tune in to the next episode. If you have any questions or concerns, follow us on the Bright Side Show 23 or on Instagram, or email us at the Bright Side Show 23 at gmail.com. We look forward to seeing y'all. We'll catch y'all next time. Peace.
Yeah, y'all.
Stop.
Every